Good morning, mamas. This is Devin with Homeschool House Calls and Professional Home Educator, and we are with Susan from Homeschooling Supermoms and Jennifer from Kindling Fires. And Jennifer's going to talk to us today. I'm looking at my notes. See, strategies to encourage and empower the reluctant teen reader and writer, which is exciting because we almost always have somebody in our house that's reluctant, right? They're reluctant to do something anyway. So thank you, Jennifer,
Absolutely.
for coming. I'm excited.
Yeah. Hey, Jennifer. Thank you for your
Hey.
workshop today.
I'm looking forward to it. Are y'all ready for me to hit it or?
You can hit it.
Sounds
Anything.
awesome.
All right. So I do have some slides to share. So let me see
Yay.
if that is showing up.
Now, we had some mamas of youngers, and I told them that I was sure that Jennifer's stuff would be you could move it toward younger, but we might have to ask Jennifer to come back if it's not. She's always good to us.
So did it? Okay, there it is. But I don't like what that's doing. Let me see. Wait, am I trying?
Yeah, we can see each other. See each other like in multi.
That's
I
fun.
want to see more than one of me. Let me see if I can set this differently. Let's see.
Sometimes
While
I
you're
go to, I think it's called tab, and then go down, or is it called tab? I don't know.
Yeah, Chrome tab. I see
Chrome.
that. So let's see if I can move it onto that.
and while Jennifer's getting settled in to all of our families that are watching, let us know about the workshops. What workshops are you looking forward to? Let us know how your thoughts are on this workshop. Give us a like, give us a love, give us some input as to workshops that we are providing inside of our groups and how we can support you further. Because we love supporting our mamas.
Tomorrow, I told y'all I would meet y'all in Zoom and show y'all how to schedule, put yourself into your school schedule. So we'll do that on Zoom. That won't be live streamed into the group. You have to come to Zoom to see that. So
So
that's tomorrow at
Wonderful.
4.
it looks
All
like
right,
it's
Jennifer,
is it showing?
yay.
Hey,
Okay, so that is what we're going to talk about today. Strategies that will encourage and empower your teens who are reluctant to read and write. Oddly enough, I had one teen who actually loved to write, but she did not like to read unless it was something that she absolutely wanted to read. And then my son, who just graduated, he loves to read, but he does not like writing. So it was just kind of this mix between the two. And so I had to kind of figure out how am I going to, improve, the want to or desire of this one for reading and then this one for writing. So there were a lot of times where it was just trial and error along the way. But these are the things that have worked for me. Starting with interest-led literature, and we'll go over kind of each of these ideas a little bit more in depth as we go through the slides. But let your students choose something that they're interested in. I mean, that's kind of human nature too. That we don't really want to do something that we're not particularly interested in doing. It's not just teens, it's a lot of us, right? As adults, if you don't want to read about something, then you're probably not going to do it. Which is not to say that sometimes there aren't going to be things that they have to do or things that they have to read that, they're just going to have to get in there and do it. But as much as is possible, let them pick the kind of things that they want to read. You may say, like, okay, so this year we have British literature. So lay out some books, have a book party, and let them choose. And we'll kind of talk about that as we go on. And then appeal to your students' learning style. We'll talk about that too. There are different things that you can do to write other than actually just sitting there, typing it in. There are other strategies, other things that you can do. Stop, collaborate, and listen, right? No, we don't have Vanilla Ice. We just have me. I'm sorry. Or either I'm glad. I don't know that we want Vanilla Ice, right? But we do want to stop. We want to collaborate, and we want to listen to our kids. Stop what we're doing. It's easy to kind of get that panic kind of way. Like, my kid is never going to read this literature. My kid's never going to write. And you just might be in a flurry everywhere. Not that I was ever that way. No. But, you just kind of get all these things in your mind. Like, they're not going to be able to be successful in life. They're not reading. They're not writing. And so just stop. Take a deep breath. Collaborate with other parents who have been there. Collaborate with your child. What does your child want to read about? What does your child want to write about? When your child starts writing, you have to be there to help. I think that's something that we kind of don't think about. We're there to teach our children how to read, teach our children how to do math, but it seems like all too often when they have to write, we just say, write this paper about, write an essay about the irony in this book. Write an essay to compare and contrast this poem and that poem. And we haven't really gone over that with them very well. And so collaborate with them, write together with them, bounce ideas off each other, and then listen to your student. Listen to what they think about different things. Let them have different opinions than you too. They need to be able to express themselves in different ways. And be able to have some different beliefs than you do. And you have to be okay with that. You have to let them be who they are. Graphic novels are a really great tool too. And I'm going to talk a little bit about those. People tend to maybe think, oh, no, not a graphic novel. That's not good. That's not good enough. But there are a lot of really great ones out there, including some for Shakespeare. And graphic essays, that's something that can be a lot of fun too. We'll talk about that a little as we go, but that's a way of presenting the material, but not having to write it all out or type it all out. You put it on a poster board. So I do have a couple of examples of that I think will make it easier to kind of understand that. And then any time is a good time for a party. Start with a party, end with a party, right? I like parties, so that works for me. Is there anything before I talk about the next thing? Any questions or anything?
None so far.
Okay. So book parties are a good way to just kind of kick off your semester. I kind of mentioned this a little bit a minute ago. You want to choose your genre or your focus, because if your child is going to go to college, and even if they're not, but you have some particular genres or, some things you want to focus on, then you can do it this way. Like, say this year we're looking at American Lit, and then you set out, I would say, maybe however many books you want to read that year. Let's say that you're going to read 10 that year. So you may set out 15 and let your child choose. And it may be, you may want to do British Lit, African Lit. I won't read off all of these things, but there are a lot of different ideas, modern and classic pairings. I have a list I can send of that too, that has, if you like this modern book, read this classic. That can make the classics a lot easier for kids to enjoy and understand. But how I do a book party actually came from another blogger friend of mine who homeschools. So you see, we collaborate with each other. We find out, things that work for other people's kids and say, hey, that might work for us. So for a book party, I will, print up several quotes from, let's say, I want to do 10 books that year, 10 books of dystopian literature. So I will take 15 books, and I will take the first line from each book, and then a couple of other lines that kind of speak a little bit about what the book's about, but don't give spoilers. So I will print those up on, just my printer paper. I'll lay the quotes out on the table for 15 books. And then, you let your student come and pick up 10 of those that sound the best to them. So that way they are having some choice. And then for extra fun, you can then get out the 10 books that they chose, but you don't put the names of the books on the quote. You don't want them to know what the name of the book is, because a lot of times they will, do the old cliche, judge a book by its cover. And you can't really tell what the book's about. You want to give them, the opening lines and then a few other key lines from the book. And you just set those out. Once they pick their 10, then you get the books out. But you don't match them up for the child. You lay out the 10 books, and then part of the fun is they try to match the quotes with the right book. And there you have your 10 books. They've had fun. They've had input in what you're reading, which is going to make them a lot more likely to want to read whatever it is that you have for that year. And it's good to have snacks. My friend did called a bookworm party, and she had gummy worms and other stuff. If you're doing a particular theme, let's say you're doing British literature for that year, your book party for the year could be kicked off with like tea, right? You could do a tea. So you can just kind of go with it, whatever you're doing, and think about how you want to present that. Then that kind of goes right here, with the rest of the points, the books, the quotes, the matching game, let the student choose, food, drinks, and fun. Everybody loves a party. Then thinking about learning styles, that makes a big difference in how your child is going to, respond to the different subjects that you have, the different ideas you have, both reading and writing. My dog is outside, but he is just that loud when he barks. So he's the loudest dog. I have my 2 other ones inside. They're usually okay, but I hope they don't start barking at him because he's so loud outside. So if your child is more of a visual learner, then that book party can really help too, because they're seeing, they're going to be reading the words, to look at the quotes, but they're also going to be seeing that laid out in front of them. And if they're, one of the kind that are more physical or kinesthetic, they like their hands on, they like to move around. They can be moving around the table, picking their stuff. Then you go and you think too about how you structure lessons or how you choose curriculum. Think about whether your child does better with a visual. Do they need to see something? Do they do better by listening and then speaking and talking back? One of my children is very much a verbal learner where, when I say something, teaching him, then he has to repeat it back to me and say, so what you're saying is so-and-so and so-and-so. So it's going to be important to have discussions with your student if they are verbal learners. And that goes for reading discussions and also with your writing, interacting with one another. We'll talk some more, specifics too as we go to the writing part. Logical, analytical. Do they need to analyze everything? My verbal learner also happens to be analytical. He has to analyze everything, which sometimes made the math lessons go a bit long, but he did. He liked to pick stuff apart and talk about it. Social, do they do better with a group? Then you may want to think about co-ops, or you may want to think about online classes if co-ops are not something that work for you. Do they do better solo? If you give your kid a book, is your kid going to do better taking that book, taking notes, learning on their own, and then maybe coming back to you for, like a checkup and a meeting? Do they enjoy nature? Could you take your reading outside? Could you have them reading books about nature, or books that have a heavily are heavily influenced. I can't even talk. Heavily influenced by nature. Poems that depict nature. There are a lot of those. So you could do a poetry study using poems that have to do with nature. So there's a lot of different ways to incorporate what the students want to learn with what they need to learn, and finding the best ways to fit them. And here's the thing, we need a plan, but we need to be flexible, which may sound counterintuitive, but you need a goal, you need a plan. Like I want my child to read 5 books this year. Let's say you're scaling back from 10 and you want 5. And depending on what books you're reading, 5 can be quite a bit. So you just kind of want that plan. This is where I want to go. Because you got to have somewhere to go, right? Or you might go nowhere. But at the same time, you have to be flexible about how you meet that goal. Consider your purpose. What is your purpose? Is your purpose to have your student be able to write a literary essay? Is your purpose to have your student read 1 classic and 4 modern books? Think about it. Make your plan so that it aligns with your purpose. So you need your ending point before you know what you're going to do to get there. And then trust yourself and trust your child. You are much more capable than what you give yourself credit for. And the same is true with our kids. Just trust in that. If you have a plan, if you're making, making steps towards that goal, then you're on the right path. It can be a lot of fun to pair classic literature and poems with modern literature and poems. We did that this past year. We did Lord of the Flies with a modern book called The Troop, which if you're squeamish at all and you don't like body horror and parasites and stuff, I would not recommend The Troop, but my son and I were, okay with that. And so that was a good, classic and modern pairing to talk about some of the same elements and what's the same, what's the difference between the classic and the modern. And there are many others too that work for that as well. I'm thinking about like poetry. There's, if you want your child to kind of get into some of Shakespeare's poems, you could pair one of his sonnets with a more modern sonnet. There are a lot of ideas there. Gather a group of teens. Things are kind of moving in the direction where this kind of stuff will be safe to do again. So you would, be able to gather a group of teens, gather parents, have book club meetings, have snacks and games. That can be a lot of fun, especially for your more social, and verbal type learners who like to interact with one another. So with writing, this is one very, often neglected aspect that I mentioned earlier. You want to show your kids how to write collaboratively, look at examples of good writing. So I wanted to grab up a really fun book. This book is really great. This one is called Breakfast on Mars. And this has some really good essays in it. So it actually shows your kids how to write an essay by giving them good examples. And you can look for, like, if your child has to write a personal essay, there are categories in here. Personal essay. So if that's what they're writing, that's what they can look at. There are so many different categories. I wanted to look at a couple more, just want to talk about them. You can do, like, there's responses to literature here. So let's say that's what they want to do. There are essay tips behind the essay. This is really fun too. My son's favorite out of there was an argumentative essay about the existence of Bigfoot. So it's really fun like that kind of stuff, but it does give them what they need. This is another good one. This is the best teen writing. This one's of 2016, but this is, just what it says, a collection of writing by teens for teens. So that shows your kids something a little bit more on their level.
Jennifer, can you repeat the name of that last book title? I'm taking notes as we talk,
Yeah,
and we'll
and
definitely want to put the names of the books in the post also.
Yeah, the best teen writing of 2016.
Thank you.
And then Breakfast on Mars. And I can send y'all that list too if you want me to. Don't be intimidated by this. Help for High School. This is Julie Bogart's writing curriculum for high school. It is written like to the teen. You can, of course, read it, but it is this major instructional guide for the teen. We covered it over 2 years, but you could even start it in 9th grade and continue with it. It is very incredibly helpful. It just takes your student through each step of the writing process. It has them do really simple activities each day, like a little bit at a time, and then they build up.
So what's the name of that one?
That is Julie Bogart, Help for High School.
Help for High School.
Mm-hmm. And it's written right to your teen, like she is right there talking to them. Of course, my son and I did get some laughs from it because it was written, several years ago. It's completely still relevant, but it's kind of funny because some of the tech talk in there was like, about messaging someone like I am and all this kind of stuff, and my son's like, what? But it is very good. So I do recommend that definitely. Then we talked about not turning the nose up at graphic novels. Don't turn it up at movies and television series too. There are some really, really good movies, really good television series that you can watch and then write about. I have a book too, and I will put that up also when I'll put all these resources together to you to help everybody if you're interested in knowing more. But there is one curriculum called, I think it's called Literature as Movies. And it is very helpful for your student who might be like more of a movie buff. Now, it has certain movies contained in the book, but you could take those principles and you could apply them to different movies too. And that might be a fun way also to kind of pair the classic and the modern. I know one of the movies that's in there is Rear Window with Jimmy Stewart, of course, Alfred Hitchcock. So I remember that one for sure, but you could use that and then use a more modern, suspense, thriller, mystery type movie and do a compare and contrast classic and modern there. Graphic essays. I'll go ahead and finish kind of out this slide and then show some more examples. But I really want to talk a few minutes about this next point. Don't take it personally. Okay, your teen's lack of interest in reading or writing, or their struggles with reading or writing, it's not a personal attack against you. We feel like that sometimes. I know we work really hard, maybe presenting a lesson or trying to get stuff ready, and then it just bombs, and we feel like just, completely devastated. Or we feel like we're failing our students somehow if they don't enjoy reading or writing. And if we feel that way, it's going to be really hard to actually start making plans and finding ways to encourage those reluctant teen readers and writers if we're going about it like it's some kind of a personal like affront to us. And I know that can be difficult not to do, but don't, it's not a personal attack. You don't want to do everything either, that you have to do. Like if you have a boss, you don't want to do everything your boss tells you, right? I mean, you probably don't get an attitude, or you might get in.
Hopefully you don't.
Yeah, something could happen. And even just like with things we do every day, sometimes around our house, you just don't want to do those things, but it's not a personal attack. So we have to, be careful of that, and talk to your kid, work with your kid. If you feel yourself getting really frustrated and angry over your child not reading or not knowing how to write, take a breather. Again, stop. That's that stop part. Go to the bathroom, sneak your piece of chocolate, go for a quick walk outside, take a breather, because you can do it. And the more calm you are, the better it's going to go, right? And not that I always met that, but I did, I did learn. So one of the things too that I did want to grab up, and I should have gotten it down, but I didn't. So I'm going to grab it. At least it's right here for us. So a couple of things you can do to make Shakespeare fun, which I think, some kids like Shakespeare as is. I do, but not everyone does, right? So I have one that did and one that did not of my kids. But this is a No Fear Shakespeare graphic novel for Romeo and Juliet. And, you can just get the story right here in graphic novel form, which can be a lot less intimidating, as students are kind of getting used to this language of Shakespeare. Because if they can grasp onto what Shakespeare's saying, there's a lot of interesting things that he says, a lot of funny things, sometimes some bawdy humor, right? Which kids like, right? So you can show them the fun parts of Shakespeare. This one is particularly funny. It's called Pop Sonnets. It's Shakespearean spin on your favorite songs. So it is modern songs, or, even songs from ancient times like the 50s and 60s, right? So ancient. But written in the way of Shakespeare, as if Shakespeare had written the song lyrics. So, I would try to see like one that might be kind of known by most of us and give you a little bit of an idea. I think a lot of people probably know the song Disco Inferno by the Tramps. Burn, baby, burn. Disco Inferno. So Shakespeare, if he were to say it, from joyous feats I'd kept myself aloof till one night, struck by music in the air, I sought its source and found it upon a roof, a spirited soiree beyond compare. The drums they roused up, dancing heaven sent, their throbbing tones inspired us to move. Now was the winter of our disco tent, made glorious summer by this sonic groove. But as each dancer moved with the beat, the rooftop's warmth unbearable became. We sweltered in the air increasing heat and felt we might combust in sudden flame. Yet through the music I could still discern a merrymaker speak, burn, baby, burn. So they could even use this as a writing assignment. Take their favorite song, rewrite it as Shakespeare would write.
That would be fun.
So there are ways we can pull these kids in, right? We can get them excited. Something else that I like too, this is a boomerang, and the new boomerangs for this year are coming out. I believe it's June 2nd. This is Julie Bogart again with Brave Writer. Boomerangs are for, I think, like 9th and 10th, maybe 11th grade. She, for the first time this year, of course, my child just graduated. is doing a level above Boomerang for seniors. It would probably work for 11th graders too. And I can't remember the name of the new one, but below Boomerang is, I think, arrows, darts, for all different age groups, she does this. So what she does is have books, different. I'm really sorry. A delivery person is at the door, so that does key up even my quiet dogs. This is life, right? Hush, hush, baby, it's fine. Thank you for protecting, but hush. But yeah, this one, and I don't have it in the binder or anything because I'm letting someone borrow it. But this one is for Sherlock Holmes, the Hound of the Baskervilles. And the way that Julie breaks stuff down is just really, it's simple, but it's effective. So I find a lot of students who may be reluctant to read or write do really well with her style of reading. You start off, you have these things called think piece questions, which are, questions to kind of guide you as you get ready to read. You do something called golden lines, where as your child's reading, they will write down quotes that really either speak to them for some reason, quotes they feel like are going to make a difference in the story. And then you get together and you have meetings about that. She also, in these, if you're thinking, I don't know what to do with, book clubs and parties, there are book club party ideas in these. And also copy work and dictation passages if that's something that you want to do. So I'll kind of just pull it out a little bit and just kind of, like I said, this is last year's set, but the new ones will be coming out. You can get them individually too if they've already been, done, if it's from a past year. But the current year, you will get like the whole package and stuff. But if you're interested in knowing more about that, I'll be happy to help you. But this gives you like how to explore the passage. So it's very helpful too, for parents trying to figure out, okay, I want to make this exciting. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. She talks about symbolism just within that, section there. Week 4, you get, a section and you talk about it. So it's really nicely organized. And like I said, this is for the different levels. She also has writing curriculum for different levels. Unfortunately, I didn't find her till my kids were like high school. So I don't have the younger ages, but I've seen them and they're really good too. So I encourage you to look at Brave Writer. It really turned my son, who hated writing, into someone who really, if I could get him going, actually started to enjoy it. At least he tolerated it. Less complaining, right? Sometimes some enjoyment was there. So just look for those things, look for ways to mix it up, make it different. Go out to breakfast, go out to lunch one day, ask your kids questions, find out the things they're interested in. And you can always gear, your reading towards that, and writing especially writing. You get a kid going on a topic that they're interested in, and they'll write for days. I know for younger kids on OutSchool, there are so many classes about, writing with Pokemon or, Minecraft writing, and just, you get them on a topic and they will just go. So kind of be looking for those with your teens too. There are a lot of options out there, so don't get stuck in that box. Don't get stuck in, okay, you got to have, this, 3-page essay, so go do it. They have to know how to do it. They don't know how. They have to have it modeled for them. And if you don't know, if you don't know how to write, or you feel like you don't, then all these tools are right here to kind of guide you step by step. So that's really, kind of what I have to say. Unless there are questions.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely awesome.
So I was looking, the boomerangs are for 13 to 15.
Okay.
And which means I might, instead of doing what I thought I was going to do, I may swing it. And I was going to do boomerangs for Gabriella, but I just suddenly realized my 12-year-old will be 13. I said, well, maybe I'll just combine them.
Yeah.
Whatever smooths out your mama's day.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
Easier. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just, instead of doing what I was going to do, just switch her over.
Yeah.
One. Yeah.
Yeah, Jennifer, this was awesome. What great information. I loved the idea of starting off with a party and ending with a party.
I do.
I think I forgot about that.
Some fabulous ones. She has had some
Yeah,
fabulous
I mean, talk about making writing and reading fun.
Yes. I think I did forget a little bit. Let me see if I can go back and see about the ending parties. I'm glad you said that because I think I got so caught up talking about Brave Writer. That happens
Well,
to me a lot.
And I think as parents, we forget the end of the year celebration, and I mean, I'm just as guilty. I'm guilty of that. Maybe nobody else is. I'm guilty of that, of finishing up this school year and forgetting those moments of celebration. And I love the idea that you said, about writing and reading specifically, do a celebration about that. And it really kind of will refresh your memory about what you've covered of the last school year. And
yes,
I loved it.
We were going to do a really big party last year. This was my intent, say January. My intent was about end of February, beginning of March. We were going to do a big, great Gatsby party for 2020, the Roaring 20s. I had already, I'm glad I didn't buy them. I had everything like in my Amazon cart because we were reading Great Gatsby and we were going to invite people over and we were going to like dress up. I was going to be a flapper. We were going to have all the glitz and glamour. And then, 2020 happened and got a little bit more into the year. And it was like, nope, can't do that. But I mean, that's really something fun to do, to do a Gatsby party. If you finish Great Gatsby, I have an out-school class in December for a Christmas Carol. And so even though I can't be with the people, the kids in person because it's virtual, we do bring foods, and I encourage them to do that from Victorian Christmas era. And you can do that with a Christmas Carol. You can do, every October, I'm still going to do it this year, even though I don't have my homeschool kids here now. They're done. But I'm going to do an Edgar Allan Poe poetry party because that is just, that has to happen in October for me. But I mean, you can get super creative. If you read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, you could dress up as the White Witch and see who wants to eat Turkish delight. And, you could do all these book characters, even as teens. Yeah, teens get into it too. They do. They might pretend they don't, but they do.
Well, I like the idea the thought that you said you can do it virtually also. And, you also mentioned like connect with other moms. And Devin and I are always talking about this, about connecting with other moms. Mm-hmm. So you could do your virtual party connecting with other moms. Mm-hmm. Or, if you're close by, do your reading, writing plans and do an actual in-person gathering and where all the different moms participate and their kids. I loved it. Just talk about making learning fun.
Yes. Collaboration.
Absolutely. Yeah. So mamas like Devin and I and Jennifer and I have all talked about, tap into your fellow mamas. It's a great way to do it.
You can post in the group, say, hey, I'm planning a virtual literature party and see who wants to come. Now, Jennifer teaches out school, and my girls have taken some of her classes. And I was just thinking, she had was it a Grinch theme or was it a snow theme? I can't remember. You made
I had two for the littles. Yeah,
you know how many times I've bought the ingredients for Grinch Punch now? All the time.
The Grinch ornament and Grinch Punch. Yes, so I do have a few for the littles, mostly middle and high school. But I do have some for the littles too, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've had to buy the ingredients for Grinch Punch several times because says, I can make you Grinch punch. Now, she won't drink it. She doesn't like it, but she will make it.
Make it. That's funny.
She is so funny.
You might have to try some different, like
Different
different
flavors.
sherbet, or even ice cream if she's not a sherbet fan, and make a different kind of concoction of,
Yeah, she is so funny though. Yeah, she liked both of those, and the other one was making snow. So
Yeah.
Jennifer does have some little classes. They're like standalone, and she loved them. We have a comment. Let's see. Grandson and I find it interesting to contrast a book and a movie. Books are almost always better, and that is real truth.
Yes, we can. A lot of times I'm that annoying person, and I've tried to get better about it. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, I read the book and then I watch the movie, and I'm like, that's not right. That's not what happened. And I understand they do obviously have to pare down, what we see in books to put it on screen. But what gets me, and there's no reason for this, is if they leave out some important things in the book and then they just add in a whole bunch of stuff in the movie that wasn't in the book. And I'm like, you had time.
Yeah.
Do the actual thing.
You need a better writer.
Yeah, and what I love about this comment, and forgive me, I can't recognize the person who made the comment because we can't see it on our side. But what I love about this, comparing the book to the movie, if you do have that reluctant reader and they can see the difference and that the book is always so much better, that then will encourage them more toward reading. So that was a great point. So I'm so glad that they mentioned it.
Because a lot of times you miss so much if you just see the movie and you don't read the book. You miss so much background or, intents of characters. You don't really get to know them. You don't see their development or, their inner thoughts. That's really hard to convey, on screen. There are different ways, of course, they do it. But the best way is if you can really, you can read and know what someone's thinking.
Yeah, reading that book first can really enhance that movie.
And sometimes you can flip it and let them watch the movie first, then read the book. I used to be like, never. But if you do have a reluctant reader, that's a really good thing to do.
Yeah.
Let them see that movie and then read the book, because sometimes there are books where it's really hard to understand what's going on. So having that movie can help you kind of get that background before you read.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I have lots of ideas.
Yes, Jennifer, this was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. I enjoy being here with both of you.
Yeah, we enjoy it.
Yeah, we love it when you come and do workshops for us. So thank you so much.
She's always so good.
I know, she is.
Well, mamas, we're going to wrap up. And if you have questions, Jennifer is in the groups and you can tag her and she can come in and help you. Or if she doesn't see it, I'll tag her, or Miss Susan will tag her, and we'll make sure she can get you some information. I think a lot of these ideas, somebody had asked if you would do something for younger. I think a lot of these ideas will work with younger too.
Yeah, and make sure you guys check out Jennifer on Outschooling. She has a lot of offerings, and she would love for you guys to participate in her classes.
Yeah, you can find her page, Kindling Fires, and she puts out information where you can find her stuff.
We have fun.
Yeah, we do. Okay, guys, we will see y'all soon.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.